Hey everybody, welcome to a new, maybe possibly video series, but definitely welcome to a new video. I'm just sitting here recovering from the successful shit pipe surgery. It's kind of getting antsy after a couple days. Everything's going well so far, so everybody thanks for the well wishes and everything worked. Anyway, so I'm sitting here deciding what I can do because I'm limited. I can't do any lifting or anything strenuous besides walking and just kind of resting for the next few months, or few weeks rather. So I was like, what can I do to make videos on where I don't have to lift a gun or, a helmet or some sort of military surplus? And I'm going to do something and address something that I've been talking about for a while, at least on my Discord server, which you can get access to if you decide to become a Patreon supporter or a channel member for $5 a month or more. A little plug there, shamelessly. My Patreon supporters are what have allowed me to expand my content, and we're going to make, they made this year's content that's in the future possible. You guys are going to love it. So thanks to everybody. Those are the sponsors of all of my videos, because I don't really want to, get into being one of those guys that has a bunch of corporate sponsors that I have to read a bunch of, scripts for and all that stuff. So thanks everybody. We'll get that out of the way right away. So I was thinking, I'm going to finally do this. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be one of those, take mud and throw it against the wall, see if it sticks. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I've made a video on this, kind of related, and this what inspired me. And I bitch about this subject a lot on my videos if you are actually have been watching for a while. And it's this overly dramatic, kind of a weird viewpoint that a lot of people, specifically in the baby boomer generation and older, have on wars and veterans of wars and all that stuff. And what I'm specifically going to be talking about is the narrative that's pushed on World War I photographs. Now, there's this group that I belong to on Facebook, and I love the group. This is not going to be anything against the group. I'm actually promoting the group because I want more people to go on there and see the awesome work that they do doing research on these photographs, and actually the work that the people who colorize these photographs do. Some of these photographs are so amazing. One of the most repetitive comments, which I actually don't have a problem with because it's true, in the comment section is, oh, it looks like that could have been taken yesterday. And yes, these people who colorize these things are fantastic. So I encourage you. It's called World War I Colorized, the British spelling, so OU instead of just OR. But you'll find it. World War I Colorized, WW1 Colorized Photos on Facebook. Great group. I'm going to read some comments on there and offer my rebuttal. I've already replied to a few of them, but I'm just going to kind of go off and give an analysis and kind of explain and expose and do a real-time analysis of this overly dramatized narrative pushed by the Boomer Brigade on Facebook. It's not all boomers. There's some younger people that are just as inept and just naive and just I think. But I'm sorry, I won't do this on every video if this becomes a series. I just kind of want to give some context. It's all about, we gotta understand the context, man. Oh, it's all about the context. I know, if you get that reference. But anyway, I'm just gonna explain that. And you'll see it, and I'm gonna give my response to this. So first of all, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put up the original picture, and then I'm gonna explain what they did on this particular post. So here's the original picture. And this is a British soldier. The photograph was taken really quickly. Let me look at the caption. Vignacourt, I don't know how to pronounce that, circa 1916 to 18. So in the Picardy region, which is a pretty hellish spot. Now, you see what I see. I don't see any insignia that can, identify his unit. I don't know if there is a unit, and it says circa 1916 to 18. So it's a very vague picture, right? We don't know what this guy's job was. We don't know who he was. He's a British soldier. We can tell that from the uniform, right? Now, again, having done this video done a video on this before about this overly dramatized viewpoint that people have when they look at pictures of soldiers, to me, he just looks like he's getting his picture taken and he's tired. And because no matter what your job is in the military, you're probably going to be tired most of the time. He just looks kind of tired, and either that or just, okay, yeah, let's get this done. Cool. And then, bam, moving on. I mean, he's standing pretty relaxed and all that stuff. So that's what I see, and I'm sure that's what a lot of you guys see. Having been in the military myself, there's a lot of photographs of myself and other friends and stuff that, we could say, oh, God, look at that. It's so dramatic. We're just so traumatized. But in reality, it wasn't. But here's the reality of this. I don't know what this guy's thinking. That's my perspective. That's my viewpoint. I don't feel the need to say that in the comments most of the time, unless I'm rebutting something. I just look at that, and that's what I get, and I go, oh, okay. It's a photograph of a British soldier, and I analyze. I go, well, I can't see any insignia like I just told you. It's like, very cool. Good job on the colorization. That's about it. So we're going to start. I went from newest first, I think. So I'm not going to name names at all because I don't do that. First comment. So sad. The story in those eyes. Again, nobody knows who this guy was, what his job was, whether he saw combat, whether he didn't, how long he was there, if he survived. Nobody knows. But people make these assumptions based on this narrative that's been pushed and dramatized. And I see it more with the boomer generation. I think it's because all of their parents were World War II vets, and their parents, their grandparents were the World War I generation, especially. A lot of British boomer brigades on this page. And they're some of the most staunch in their overly dramatized narrative. So the next one, I'll just go through the ones that I think are kind of just trite and the ones that I want to comment. There's some that are just whatever, powerful image like that. It's a powerful image because it's an old image and it's colorized and it's powerful. It invokes emotion and it invokes a feeling. So what they did on this one is what I was going to say is, I don't know, I can't post this on the video obviously, but they did it like kind of a GIF style of a deep fake where they took this and had him kind of look down to the side and look really just fucked out of his mind. And, according to these people, you'll see. And he just kind of looks to the side. If you go on the page, which I recommend you do because it's an awesome page, there's just some idiots that comment on there, but that's with anything on Facebook or YouTube. So, yeah, that's what they did. I don't necessarily agree with doing that with original photographs of soldiers. I don't like deep fakes in general. I think it's a problematic thing, but I really don't think it's a good idea to do it in a historical context like this because somebody can run with it. And then 20, 30 years down the road, we can see, obviously, the proof is in the pudding here when we get to it, that myths perpetuate themselves and they become the norm and they become reality and they become fact. And I don't like that. I like to keep history as it is, or as it was, rather. So, let's see. The sadness and pain in those eyes is truly heartbreaking. Well, you can literally see anything you want to see. But again, this is a comment from, let's see. Yep, definitely an older person. And it's like, how do you know it's pain and sadness? Like, you've never seen somebody that's just content? And then here's somebody that English obviously isn't their first language. He tried to smile, but he can't. How the fuck do you know? Were you there on that day when he got his picture taken? Did you go, hey man, can you smile? And he said, no, I can't. Were you there? Jesus. Another one. We'll never know or understand the torment these young guys, most of them teenagers, had to go through. They'll never be forgotten. Another boomer brigade from the UK. Most of them teenagers, that's not factually correct, and I will make another video on that. The average age of an infantryman in World War I for, God, I gotta get that, it's early 20s. So anyway, we'll get there, but not factually correct, but again, an overly dramatized false narrative myth that everybody's a teenager, 16, 17, 18 years old, that goes to war and dies in the trenches, or in World War II. So, yeah, here's the comments. Oh, the things those eyes have seen, unspeakable. Again, do you know this guy? Like, again, this is just proof that this dramatized bullshit, without facts, these people say this is a fact. Boomer Brigade, yep. Another one. And then a response to that from somebody else who's also, this is actually a younger person. I remember the movie 1917. Good for you. Their Hollywood history reference. God. Another one. Let's see. Yep, Boomer Brigade. The look in his eyes shows something of the horrors he must have seen. Really? Again, you were there, you know this person? Let us know who he was. Let us know what he experienced. Was it your grandfather? Was it your friend's grandfather? Have you met this person? Do you know what happened to him? Again, and I'm just going to point this out. A lot of these so far have been boomer females. So that's probably some of the worst offenders of this are females because they just have zero interest or clue. But it's something that's, you know, supposed to be common that they grew up with. Again, their dads and grandfathers were all in the wars and all that stuff and all this freaking dramatized narrative because they usually didn't talk about it. So this one, poor lad looks shell-shocked. I'm glad you have your PhD in psychology in 1918 or circa 1916 to 18, and you're able to diagnose this gentleman and, you know, hopefully get him off the line and get him back home, you know, where he belongs. And then I actually got some backup from another person on that, and then a reply to the person that was kind of, you know, on my side. She says, I've seen men with PTSD. In a word, they look haunted, and that's what I see here. Which pisses me off because it's like, basically this person that's on my side said, or not on my side, but kind of just, you know, more in touch with reality and history as it is, says, how do you know? What does someone with PTSD look like? I don't know. Certainly he might just be very tired. Agreed. Maybe he is traumatized and fucked out of his mind. We don't know. But to say this with such authority, like it's just a fact, problematic, because that's how things become reality and whatever. So I replied that, you know, so if I'm tired and pissed off and have a similar look as this guy does that mean I'm haunted, or does that just mean you're projecting some bullshit narrative based on zero facts? That was my reply to that. Next comment, of course, another, let's see, yeah, Boomer Brigade. The face of war. So I replied with, what exactly is the criteria for the face of war? What the fuck is wrong with this? The 1,000-yard stare. There's one I haven't heard before. Again, were you there? Do you know what was going on? Jesus. He saw too much. I just typed lol. Because it was getting like, I'm just like, good God. Every time something like this, you know, they post something like this on this page, it's like, oh, it's a matter of fucking time before the Boomer Brigade comes on here with all this I mean, it's the same comments over and over again. If I make more videos on this, you're going to kind of get probably tired of it because it's always the same shit. So, there's a really stupid comment. Not as stupid, rather. Yeah, here we go. This is a great one. Let's see. Probably a Boomer Brigade. Poor bloke. He's seen and heard too much. There's a world of sadness behind those eyes. He would give anything to be home at that point. Really? He would? Because a lot of people had it better in the military than they did at home, especially from the inner city. A lot of poverty, a lot of poor people, and a lot of people like the military with the structure, getting clothing and food and stuff. So, maybe not. Again, you're projecting this as an authoritative fact and not actually just your own conjecture that you're stating as a fact and saying it's your opinion. Do we know if he survived? That's a question they all ask. Well, I have a spoiler alert for you. Every World War I veteran that we know of is dead today. So no, he didn't actually survive because nobody fucking survives. And most people actually survive a war. Most people are not killed in a war. I think the actual death rate in World War I was around... God, I have to get that number again, but it's not as high as people think. The casualty rate was insane. But the actual death rate, when you look at how many people were involved and actually in combat, not that high. So that's another misconception that I should make a video on for the World War I series, which I think I already did. But it's with any war, really. Do we know if he survived or who he was? No, you don't. So why are you making assumptions about him? I doubt it, but I hope he survived and those sad eyes turned into happiness once again when he was at home. Well, those sad eyes probably just stayed the same, and he probably drank himself into oblivion and beat the shit out of his family. And, you know, did a mass murder-suicide and, you know, went out in blaze of glory. That's my conjecture from, you know, your comment and what I see in the picture. See how much sense that makes? Jesus Christ. Yeah, just some more comments about deep faking, and I actually agree with that. So, and then somebody, you know, calling me a clown because I was saying that it's not a good idea for the deep fakes and sticking up for somebody else that had the same thing. Another one, the 1,000-yard stare. Let's see. That's a younger person, actually. So more of this for the, you know, deep faking stuff and all that stuff. Those are eyes that have seen far too much. Gotta be a Boomer Brigade. Yep. Absolutely. Let's see. I'm sorry. I thought I had this. There's a huge cluster of just like, whatever comments. Okay, here we go. Broken man. I hope that no one today could ever see the world through his eyes. At least now he is at rest and no longer tormented. Well, you've got that part right. That's a pretty safe assumption in your last part of your little sentence there. So here's where it gets fun, and I love this shit because there are some people on this page who know their shit, and they actually convey it, because I can't do this all day, and once in a while I get in the mood and post on here like today. So somebody replied, says, sadly many of our armed forces are going through PTSD. They are seeing their hell in today's world. That's true. And then the original poster of this comment, agreed, but I would imagine not on the scale that these people have gone through. 4 years in trenches, it's unheard of now. Okay, well, so this other guy, got his shit together, says, no British soldiers spent 4 years in the trenches. They were regularly rotated out of the trenches. British infantry usually spent 8 days in the front line and then 4 in the reserve trench, 4 behind the lines. Of course, if there was an offensive on, it could be different. Correct. And it was very similar with most of the militaries in the First World War. They didn't sit in trenches. They knew that they're going to get tired and complacent and that it was miserable up there, that they needed to rotate people out constantly in order to maintain the most alertness and readiness at the frontline trench in case of an assault. Like he said, if there was an offensive, you're going to see a lot more people up there at one time. But yes, he's correct. So, and it was, and then the guy replied, I didn't say that particular soldier. It was a general comment of 4 years in the trenches. So basically what people do on this page a lot, and I've seen this a lot, and it's on the World War II page as well, is they basically say that everybody that wasn't in the First or Second World War is just a bunch of pussies, right? And they totally discount people that fought in Korea, Vietnam, or any conflict in the world after the Second World War because nothing else mattered. Nothing else could be that bad. Well, Vietnam, the combat was insanely atrocious. A lot of other wars, Iraq and Afghanistan, the combat was very different than it had been in World War II. It's a lot, just a different setting. It doesn't make it better or worse, but to totally discount any experience past the Second World War because you have this fucked up, skewed view of history because you're posting shit like this on a page, that irritates the shit out of me, and I hope people keep correcting them like this to make sure that it stays in line with what actually is the truth. So that really does piss me off when you discount anybody's experience after the Second World War because you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. So, and then this one, even when the movement attempts to make him smile, it cannot take away the trauma that shows in his eyes. Again, glad you can diagnose trauma based on a fucking black and white picture that was colorized from 100 years ago, because you were standing right next to that guy and you know exactly what he was thinking and what he went through that day when he got his picture taken. So also getting your picture taken back then was a fairly cool deal. Usually cost a couple bucks, a couple shekels. So next one, someone's son with a sad face. I just typed no way. Yeah, it's someone's son. Everybody's someone's son or daughter. That's how it works. We're humans. Here's the best one. This is the last one right now. I'm just going to cut it off at this point. There'll probably be more comments after this. But this video's probably gone on long enough. This is just going to kind of be, a long-form rant video and just assessing this shit. Because it drives me. Once in a while, like, I just don't read the comments, look at the picture, and I like the picture. Because I want the page to get more traction. Because I love looking at these photos. I learn a lot because they do the people that own the page or run the page do a lot of research. And again, I cannot speak out enough for this page. It's great. A lot of history on here. I've learned so much. And some pictures are just phenomenal when they get brought, into color. It's just more relatable. That's why I like doing World War I reenacting, because I even learned better that way from other reenactors. All right, this is the typical kind of shit. The young man has seen combat, and it shows. God rest his soul. Again, how the fuck can you sit there and be that confident in your assessment of a photograph of a person from 100 years ago that they have seen combat when most soldiers, actually even in the First World War, didn't actually see direct combat? Sure, artillery is a thing, gas was a thing, that could affect people off of the front lines in the reserve trenches. I understand that. The majority of people in any war don't actually see combat. For every one person that sees combat, there are 10 to 20, respectively, troops that are supporting that one person that don't see direct combat. So how the fuck do you know that this guy saw combat? You don't. You're just assuming, you're pushing that stupid fucking overly dramatic Hollywood heroic hero worship, cup the balls narrative that is just simply not true all the time. Maybe he did see combat. That's fine. But unless, at this point, because it's so historically significant, unless you have hard facts and evidence that this particular person, who is still unidentified, saw combat, stop making assumptions, stop being a fucking douche, and just appreciate the picture for what it is. Maybe you could comment on, I wonder why he doesn't have any unit insignia on. Is he a fresh guy right out of basic training that is fresh at his unit, getting his picture taken before he goes up to his unit? Who knows the situation? Nobody knows. Or why can't you just appreciate the picture for what it is? Seriously, you don't have to sit there and assume all this shit and make yourself look like an expert. And that's the thing that I have a problem with history in general, the fact that I'm interested in it. Because it seems to be that, I dedicate most of my life and my time to some sort of historical topic, whether it be the history of firearms, helmets, camouflage equipment, macro level shit like generals and maneuvers that happen during certain battles, when they happened, how they, all that stuff. Most of my life is dedicated towards history. I am very far from being what I would call an actual historian. I'm an amateur historian, I would say. But Jesus Christ, even I know that. Why would you say something like that on this? And what sucks to me, what I've noticed, is that history is one of those things that everybody wants to be able to dabble in it. Like if you're at a party, you want to be able to be, oh yeah, well, you talk about that. Well, did you know that Hitler was in World War I and he was a hero? Like everybody thought he was just a great soldier and everything, and he was on the front lines and all this stuff, and they might get the gist of it, but they get a bunch of shit wrong. Oh, that guy really knows he knows about history. That's really interesting. That's something cool and unique. Wow. And just dabbling, just that's an example of shit. But at a party, oh yes, and then if you actually know history and you actually understand it and you know the process and kind of are able to be objective about it and keep your, myths and biases out of it, you can listen to these people and go, holy fuck, this guy doesn't know shit. He thinks he does, and he thinks he's cool, and he wants people to think he knows what he's talking about, but really doesn't. And that's about 99% of people that are either on these pages, maybe 98% of these people, because most of the people that know history won't even comment on this. They'll just give it a thumbs up and appreciate it for what it is and move along. But I'm one of those assholes that engages once in a while. But anyway, so this is going to be a really long video, but I just kind of wanted to get this point across and just kind of be more transparent about my frustrations with this. So if you get on this page and you see me commenting, you'll understand a little bit why I'm frustrated with this stupid shit. And it's so pointless. Like, again, I posted on one of the previous pictures, like, why can't we discuss something about the details of the picture and all this stuff instead of pushing this stupid dramatic narrative, and stuff like that. So it's a lot of these, I'm going to call them basic bitch level historians, very loosely using that term, that just shouldn't fucking talk about anything history related until they sit back and actually put time and effort into it like other people have. All right, well, hopefully I've whined and complained and bitched enough myself in this video, but this is something I can do definitely while I'm recovering from my little operation. But yeah, I can read these comments. I mean, I can go back on the page too and read some real fucking doozies. I got into it with some idiots, these holier than thou fucking boomer brigades from the British boomer brigade is the worst, absolutely the worst. But because then they'll use the fact that I'm American against me, like as if it's an insult. It's like, hey motherfucker, I've got all the guns I've ever wanted, basically. You guys get a hard on for maybe being able to own a deactivated one, so go fuck yourself, you fucking child. Anyway, maybe I'll just stop the rant video. If you like this, if you made it this far, I totally get it if you didn't, which you won't be seeing. But if you made it this far, let me know what you think about this. This is just kind of how I am. Like, even when, Devin K is down here or any other friend, I'll sit there and go through these comments, and he looks at them too. You can see him on Facebook, and he looks at it, and he's just like, Jesus. He doesn't comment either because he's more professional than that. But this is just how I talk in normal everyday life. It's not really scripted or anything. So maybe you guys like this, and whatever, let me know. We'll see if I broke 20 minutes. Pretty sure I did, but yeah. All right, thanks for watching, everybody, and maybe we'll see you on the next series. Episode of the series. Jesus. Bye.